And at the end of my room, like there was a shadow figure and it was just standing and it kind of moved. We are back, everybody. Hope you're all doing oh so fine. I'm doing great myself. Thank you so much for asking. You guys are nasty. You really love that scary stuff, don't you? I mean, I do too, so we're nasty together, it doesn't matter. You guys requested again for something scary. Last two times we reacted to Nuke's Top 5. Now, I found a video. Actually, my brother found a video and sent it to me because he knows I'm into this kind of stuff, and he found something that I actually never watched. I don't mean like an exact video, but I never watched lucid dream real life horror stories, anything related to lucid dreaming. I'm not sure what's the video gonna be about, but he recommended and he said it was awesome, so it's gotta be worth watching. Are you guys ready to react? I am too. But before we get into that, for anybody new here, welcome. We hope you're gonna have a nice day, and for everybody else, including those new guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I go live. Pull those blinds, turn off the lights, put on the headphones, and let's watch some scary stuff.
Ah, sleep. There's nothing like curling up in a bed and slipping into a dream after a long day. All dreams have one thing in common. They ultimately end the same way. Whether the dream was good or bad, you wake up and realize it was all a dream, usually. There's another kind of dream, and it can be very different and sometimes terrifying. Lucid dreaming is when you dream but become aware that you're dreaming. Once you're aware, you have greater control over your choices in the dream and may be able to affect its outcome. Most lucid dreams start when you're asleep, but some people have tried to induce lucid dreams from an awake state. So why do people want to experience lucid dreams? Studies show they can decrease nightmares and reduce stress by helping you neutralize and control recurring nightmares.
Probably my camera being in this spot is not the smartest one, so let's move it. Okay, this seems a little bit better. Anyway, yeah, lucid dreams can be bad, but there is like, I think there's two levels of it. There's lucid dreams where you're just like aware of what's happening, and the second level would be where you can actually control what's happening around you. So the first one can be terrifying because you can, like, whatever you get stuck in, you're there, you're aware, and it can be really, really terrifying, especially if you wake up and still remember what was happening. But in the second one, it's not going to be scary because you can change everything that's going on.
Experts recommend getting a good night's sleep and keeping a dream journal as the best way to encourage lucid dreaming. You'll reduce anxiety, get more confident in your motor skills by practicing them in a dream state, and have an opportunity to explore your creativity in a mostly risk-free environment. Wait, mostly risk-free? Lucid dreaming isn't without risks. You're deliberately interrupting your sleep cycle, which can lead to trouble getting back into a rhythm. Those who lucid dream frequently report having trouble differentiating between dreams and reality, and even feel disconnected from their own identity. But for a select—
Oh, that's deep, because there is a theory that when we sleep, we get transported to a different dimension. If you lucid dream, you actually remember what's happening in like in another dimension. But mainly, the point is, you remember what was happening, and that can mess you up. So you cannot differentiate this dimension from that one. It's kind of hard, you know, it's just a theory, but it makes a lot of sense.
few dreamers, the experience can be much more terrifying due to sleep paralysis. When this happens, people wake up from a night of sleep only to discover they can't move. Their mind is awake, but it's not communicating to their body yet. And that's when the hallucinations start. They see, hear, and feel things that aren't there, including visions of demons stalking them and climbing on their emotions.
Okay, let's just say there is a dimension. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you can see some things over there and probably your mind can transport them into this one. Maybe you can see like portions of that dimension in this one. It's messed up, I know, but imagine that happening. That's probably why lucid dreaming, that's probably why lucid dreaming is such a huge problem. It can be such a huge problem.
Mobile body. This normally only lasts a few minutes before their body catches up to their mind, but it can feel like an eternity. And many lucid dreamers experience this terrifying phenomenon and others firsthand. These are some of the scariest lucid dream stories of all time, told by those who experienced them. A lucid dreamer woke up from what they thought was a bad nightmare, but their room didn't seem quite right. Things were out of place, and for some reason there was a porcelain doll sitting in a chair. Suddenly, the doll lifted its head and stared at the dreamer, and they realized they were in a dream. They tried to fly away from the room, but the room moved along with them until they reached a mirror. They looked into the mirror and gasped with horror. Their face was rotting and falling apart. They screamed, and the image in the mirror laughed until they woke up. Not all lucid dreamers dream intentionally, and this next story happened when the dreamer was only 12. The dreamer found themselves walking through the desert with nothing in sight. Suddenly, their mother was there in the desert too, and she looked scared. She implored the dreamer to wake up, and they did. But the fear was just beginning. The next night, they dreamed it again, and they found themselves in the same desert. They remembered their mother's words and woke up, but found themselves in a medieval prison, surrounded by monsters. Everyone there was terrified too, telling them to wake up, but to wake up they had to fall asleep. So it was a long, scary night in that prison before they drifted off and wound up back in their bed.
Oh, you had to fall asleep to go back to, like, to wake up in an actual world? Okay.
The next dreamer found themselves in a
That was
much
messed
wetter
up.
horror.
Imagine
It
how
was a
scary it
stormy
was.
sea
Like,
with
you
mist
cannot fall
everywhere,
asleep.
and the dreamer was aboard a ship. They weren't alone. The ship was haunted and the ghost was chasing them. They briefly got a glimpse of the ghost and it looked human, but when they looked directly at it, the ghost transformed into a painting of a gray seashore. While the dreamer didn't know what would happen if
Seashore.
the ghost caught them, they were terrified. At some point, they realized they were dreaming and started screaming, but the scream turned into something that sounded like an alarm, and then they realized it was an alarm, their alarm clock. They woke up with a start. The next dreamer found their sweet tooth came back to haunt them. An all-you-can-eat dessert
Sweet
buffet
tooth?
sounds like a dream come true, right? Not for the dreamer who found themselves forced to eat a massive dessert made of ice cream, meringue cookies, chocolate syrup, and randomly little Valentine's Day candy hearts. The dream was so vivid they could taste it like it was real, and it was the sweetest thing they'd ever tasted. It even started to make them sick before they woke up. The dessert wasn't real, of course, but its effects lingered and the dreamer didn't want to eat dessert for weeks. The next
Wow, the first time hearing stories like that. Like, I have my own story about lucid dreaming, but it's not nothing special. It was usually always like, stuff. You become aware of what's happening, you change the environment, it's all safe at that point. Like, I don't have an actual scary, only scary ones that I remember from my childhood is falling. I was probably like really, really afraid of heights, and that's why I always dreamed about falling down. And whenever I hit the ground, like the moment before you hit the ground, you wake up, like all sweaty and shaky.
dreamer's nightmare was
But
much
these are
closer to home.
these are really, something, because they're not usual
It'd
stories.
been a night of partying and drinking, and they were driving home. They knew they were a little out of it, but they thought they were good to drive. They weren't. Just as they turned the corner, two drunk girls wandered out into the road, and there was no time to stop, and the girls went flying. One was only lightly injured, but the other had shattered a leg. The driver helped them while they waited for the paramedics to arrive, but the authorities didn't seem interested in the driver. No one noticed they were drunk, and they just returned home, where they woke up and started screaming. They had to turn themselves in for hitting two pedestrians while drunk. That was when their roommate reminded them that they hadn't even been driving that night. But that's nothing compared to the experiences some lucid
What?
dreamers have. A young man named Justin struggled with
Damn.
anxiety.
What? Oh my god! Like, my brain is just so messed up right now. He wasn't even dry. Oh crap! Imagine that's what he was saying. Like, you cannot differentiate the reality from dreams. He was probably dreaming one. I'm not sure. Just damn. What?
And nightmares, and found a book on lucid dreaming in his library. He decided he could use it to face the darker side of his mind.
Okay, wait,
almost
wait.
have been driving that night. But that's nothing compared to the experiences some lucid dreamers have. A young man named Justin struggled with anxiety and nightmares, and found a book on lucid dreaming in his library. He decided he could use it to face the darker side of his mind and conquer his fears. What happened instead was very different. He had fun, at first learning to fly in his dreams and visiting places around the world and beyond, but then his subconscious started taking him to darker places. He hadn't trained in lucid dreaming before he started, and he had no way of preventing his dreams from turning into nightmares. But at least he could always wake up, right? Sometimes he would wake up only to realize he was still in a dream. Sometimes he would find himself in a state of sleep paralysis and would see a horrific shadowy man looming over him with a knife. That being would stab him and he would feel the pain of every stab. But when he would wake up in the real world, there would be no wound in sight. It would be years before he could finally overcome this.
Yo, I didn't know lucid dreaming can be so freaking dangerous. What? Oh shit. The reality stands that our mind is a powerful thing. Even if it's all happening inside our head, we're basically fucking ourselves over. If that makes sense. Like with lucid dreaming, he basically screwed himself.
this pattern as he got older and gained a better awareness of his subconscious. Another woman got a disturbing view of lucid dreaming from the outside. When she first met her boyfriend, he seemed normal, but he was interested in lucid dreaming and he started saying odd things. When he proposed to her, he started acting oddly, and she realized he believed he was still dreaming. As time went on, he started talking less and only communicating in short bursts and single words. It was like he was walking through life half asleep and half awake. He was hospitalized, but the CAT scan showed nothing wrong. His problems were all in his mind. She wasn't sure if the cause of his bizarre behavior was due to lucid dreaming or something else, like a bad reaction he had to trying marijuana years in the past, but she thought he was slipping away. Many lucid dreamers report terrifying experiences, but lucid dreaming can't kill you, right? Despite the famous movies about the serial killer Freddy Krueger killing people in their dreams, there are no reports of anyone dying during a lucid dream. But that doesn't mean people don't feel like they have close calls. One recurring theme has come to be known as the old hag. This is one of the most common manifestations of sleep paralysis. People wake up and find they can't move, or are they even awake? They sense
Oh, it happened to me as well. I think like most people experienced it at least once in their lives. At least once. Oh shit. Sleep paralysis. I'm so happy I haven't experienced it in almost 10 years now.
something else in the room with them, and they feel intense pressure on their chest. They can't breathe. That's when the presence makes itself known. While the figure's appearance varies, many people report it looks like a horrible old woman or a decaying corpse. They see the being come forward and they find they can't avert their eyes. Some who experience this presence in a lucid dream say they've seen horrible visions of their spouse dead next to them. Eventually, they do wake up unharmed, albeit with their heart beating out of their chest. The old hag or similar creature is nowhere to be seen. But many people wonder, why do so many people across so many countries have the same experience? And is there a tie to another?
Exactly, that's why it makes it so realistic. Every possible explanation behind lucid dreaming and what it can be, the dimension or just something in our mind, there's probably dozens of speculations on what can it be, but it makes it realistic because a lot of people experience it. Probably most of the people.
Other famous horror people encounter in darkened rooms. Many people report seeing mysterious beings known as the shadow people while in sleep paralysis or during lucid dreams. These inky black beings with shining eyes take many forms. Some look small, almost like shadow children. Others are looming over them, seemingly larger than life.
Oh, we know some shadow people, some shadow persons. Nuke's top 5 videos.
Sometimes they're violent, attempting to strangle the lucid dreamer or stab them. Other times, they just stand and watch for what seems like an eternity. But much like the old hag, their appearance is a common theme in
I think it happened to me as well. Like one time I'm not sure if I was asleep or not. At that point, you cannot tell the difference anymore because I was lucid dreaming a lot as a child. And at the end of my room, like there was a shadow figure and it was just standing and it kind of moved. I was so scared I just covered myself and went back to sleep. I'm not sure if I was dreaming or not.
countless people's lucid dreams. Even scarier, the line between lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis can blur. One man reported waking up in a state of sleep paralysis, feeling a terrible sensation all around him. He could swear he was being lifted off the ground, and the pounding of his chest woke him up, or so he thought. He woke up for the second time in a state of sleep paralysis, and this time he saw a haunting green glow outside the window. It was only the second time that he woke up when he was truly awake, and the second time he had no awareness that he'd been dreaming. He had slipped between a lucid dream and a normal dream undetected. How deep down the rabbit hole can people go? And how difficult can it be to find their way back? A veteran lucid dreamer discovered just how tricky false awakenings can be one night. He'd been struggling to get to sleep the last few nights, but this night he fell right asleep. He didn't have time to meditate or relax, and when he woke up, it was around 3 a.m. He knew right away he was locked into sleep paralysis, and he quickly felt like something was pressing down on him. It felt like it went on for hours, and none of his usual tricks like meditation worked. Finally, it let up and he got up to go use the bathroom. He went back to bed, fell asleep, and the next thing he knew, it was the morning. Or was it? As he made breakfast, he realized he felt hungover, but he hadn't been drinking. His commute to work seemed to take far longer than usual, and his interactions with people seemed odd. Suddenly, he felt sick. He felt a sharp stabbing pain in his stomach. He collapsed. Then he woke up in bed. The false awakening had felt like it lasted for hours, but it had been all in his head. And it wasn't over. For the next few hours, this happened repeatedly, locking him into a strange Groundhog Day-like cycle of false awakenings.
Oh my god, it's a loop. There is so many good stories about it and theories as well. Yeah.
By the time it was over, the veteran lucid dreamer was so unsure he was awake, he spent 10 minutes pinching himself before he would even let himself get out of bed.
That's horrifying. There is a point where you go fucking crazy.
It almost made him want to give up lucid dreaming, but not for too long. For more on lucid dreaming,
I mean, I never even thought that you can be closed in a loop. It's like a movie thing, you know, you see it only in a movie, you don't think it's actually real. Also, you can't really trust all the people, but at the same time, why would you lie? Like, I mean, your identity is hidden. You're giving them your story for nothing, basically. So I'm not sure why would you lie about it. But yeah, a lot of these stories are interesting, especially the last one with the loop. That's one that intrigued me the most because I'm watching a lot of space-time related TV shows and movies lately. And so what I really want to know is, what is your story? A lot of people have lucid dreaming stories from childhood. Maybe some of you even have the newer ones. So let me know down below in the comments. I would love to hear those stories. Also, recommend some of the new videos we can react to. It doesn't have to be scary. It can be basically anything, since we're still scrolling through a lot of content online and just trying to find our own niche. Paste down the links, write it down, doesn't matter, comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. You know, it helps me a lot and it will keep the channel going. And I guess there is nothing left to be said other than, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.